Right, press stop. Go. Welcome to a quick tutorial on some of the new things that have happened in version 2.61. I'll go over them. Basically, right, we'll just start with the steps. So we've got a pattern of, let's set that to 4 steps playing, as you can see along here, 1 to 4. And what we've, switch tooltips off. So now, if we switch steps off, we'll just have 1. And the tie sustains. And the note will last for as long as you've got ties, or if there's another note, so we can. So that's the ties. They're the same as before, although you can route them and they'll now get routed to the pitch patterns, but we'll come to that in a second. Right, now what we've done with the ratchets, as before, the pinkish number represents how many repeats, and here we have a sort of spacing delay time for them. So if we just set this, let's just set this to something. So you can hear there's 1 repeat, initial beat, and 1 repeat. And when it's set to 0, that's halfway, so we're getting 3 steps, then another beat, then 3 steps, then carrying on. And if we increase that to 3, now if we just put that back to 1 for a minute, I'll show you the delay, how the delays work, the spacing works. So at 0 it's halfway, and as we go in negative, it gets nearer to the original step, and 19's its nearest. As you can hear, it's just about it. It's not quite instant. There's a wee gap in there. And then when we go into positive numbers, it gets longer. And you can get some interesting sort of skips and things. Now, when we increase the repeats, when we've got it set to 0, there is always enough time for all the repeats to happen, if that makes sense. And when we make them shorter, they will get quicker if we go into the negative. Now, when we go into the positive area, we're making the delay time of each step longer, so we might not get all 8 of them in. And I've got a controller set up just to do this. Now it's adjustable in real time, and obviously, and this now goes all the way up to, well, 64 and then infinity, which is constant. And the step, all these numbers all interrelate to each other, so as soon as you double the step length, you're basically doubling what they do, the step gap for those repeats, if that makes sense. And if we can alter the pitch in real time. So we're setting LFO up to give that a wiggle. So lots of scope there for oh, excuse me, what a frog in front. Lots of scope there for making a railroad racket. Now that's so that's the sort of expanded ratchets and expanded delay times on them. One thing that's a handy tip is if you want everything to stay in time, and whatever you set the step length to, if you make the repeats one less than it, that usually fits in. So if you've got if it's 9 steps long and you have 8 repeats, so with the initial beat that's 9 beats. And is it at 8? There we go. Right, so that's the new ratchety functions. Now we'll cover what we've got with the P1 and P2s now. So they work just basically the same as before. I've just expanded some of the functions. So we've got P1 getting triggered on that beat there. Let's just switch that off. Let's set this down to Alright, just make it an octave above so that the note's not conflicting. Right, now if we just switch sequencer off for a moment, if we use the tie function, we will get sustain on the sequencer note. I'll switch it on, Michael, it helps. Now, in order to get that on the P1 subsequencer, for want of a better phrase, we switch G-Link on. And we switch repeats to 0. And that then makes this behave exactly the same as the sequencer behaved, so you can you can get some quite interesting things going on with all 3 of them going. Basically, when you've got the T's on, the P will sustain until it reaches a T is switched off, or it will re-trigger when you get to another P1. And as you see here, the T's are all on, so it will just sustain all the way around. Obviously, if it re-triggers with a new pitch, that note goes up. And the same for P2. And so between the 3 of them, you can get some evolving harmonies going on, which is quite interesting, I think. Right, and also we have the R-Link which passes the ratchet. Just point out that the ratchets get switched off or overruled by the tie function, T's. If you're sending it to P1 or P2, it is not overruled because basically it's not on until you switch it on. Yeah, right, so let's confidently put that into practice. So we can put the ratchet on and we're not hearing anything because I've switched the ratchet. So now if I switch R-Link on, you're getting that there. And if we put now if I switch T on, make sure grid link switched off. It makes no difference. The only time the T will affect the P's is when G link's on, because that then basically makes these follow all the gate timings from the original sequencer. Right, so we've now got lots of things to make a constant racket going on, and we'll now look at the dub function, which is basically a step probability, but that's a big long word and wouldn't fit on screen, so I called it dub, which is just 3 letters, and it also describes it. Now, see, as though we've got P1 playing at the moment, we shall take it down a touch in case I'm getting drowned out. Right, so we can switch the dub function on, and basically what that does is it decides whether or not a note, a step's going to play. Let's just switch the ratchets off because they're confusing. And we have a green light that tells you when the green light's on, the step will play, and if the green light's off, you won't hear anything. And you have a probability, a level, so if we put it at 100%, we won't hear anything, and if we turn it to 0, it's on all the time. Right, now there are 33 patterns, although I've always labelled it as 32, I just didn't do my sums properly. 0 to 32 is actually 33, but we'll skip over that lightly. Just like the pitch patterns, there's patterns from here, and we can edit them on view B. Right, which is also changed quite considerably from the last time. So up here we have the dub pattern for P1. As you can see, when it's yellow it's switched on, switch it off, and now the percentage is represented by a red line, and basically makes it quite simple and straightforward. Everything above the red line gets played, everything below the red line doesn't get played. So as you can see here, that first step will get played, then nothing, nothing, nothing. I can't remember whether that one's been triggered. I think it is. And then it's looping back. And now you can edit these. And what I've also done, at the moment it follows the steps from here, so it's exactly 1 to 1, like if we had a pitch sequencer on this. Because we're not hearing half of them because they're not where they've been dubbed out. That's it switched off. I've also set up this S-Link button which synchronizes this now to the master sequencer and does the full 16 steps. And it will follow the step lengths that you've got assigned. So if you've got different step lengths, this will follow it exactly. It doesn't affect the way the no P1 works. All it does is, it gives you 16 steps at a different tempo rather than like before we were just getting 4 steps repeated. So it gives you a bit more variation. And again, so as you can hear, there's nothing happening there and there. And if we draw them in, it will happen. Right, now as I say, you've got 33 memories of these. You also can randomize it, which is manually randomize a new pattern. Is the R button, just like all the other R buttons dotted around. And if you want it to constantly randomize, click the blue button, and basically when it gets to the beginning it will then re-randomize, giving you a whole new set of values. So it's constantly randomizing it, and you move your percentage down where you wish. So that's the basic dub functions. We've also assigned got an LFO assigned to the dub percentage, which we can switch on here using the mod. And as you see, the red line goes up and down. So basically, when the step reaches an area, it looks to see where the red line is at that point, and if the graph's above the red line, the note plays. If it's below the red line, the note doesn't play. And we've got the usual sort of things here. You've got let's start this segmental waveform, so you triangle, pulse, and a random. So we'll go back to triangle, frequency, so that's your speed. And then we have shape, so you have sawtooth concept. And amplitude, amount, and then center point, so that you can move the whole thing down there or up there where nothing happens. So lots of control to be had there, and you have 3 of those. So there's one for the main sequencer and one for each of the pitch pattern subsequencers. Just a note on the tables, as you see the pitch pattern ones, let me go to an empty one. They've now, you can edit them here, and you've got a readout happening down here, which you can also edit, and you can also assign that to a MIDI controller if required. So maximum flexibility now. And also all 33 of these are saved within a snapshot, so you don't have to worry about overwriting your previous snapshots pitch pattern as you could before. And that goes for all of the tables. They all behave in that similar manner. And the step patterns, again, it's basically the same, but we have a numerical readout at the bottom just for ease of, so you tell you what step. Also the LEDs up top follow what you've programmed, just to confuse you. So I've got this should be a double, oops. So here you can see all the dubs working away, because it's quite easy. Once you've got all 3 of these blasting out doing lots of things, it gets a bit constant, so it's quite nice to break it up a bit. And if I remember rightly, yep, dub patterns are available also as a modulation destination. Right. Oh, what else have I done? Oh, LFOs. I have. Let's just go back to basic tedium. I've added a step reset button to them, which is quite useful. So if we just set this up to control the filter just for ease, 70, there we go, and switch the filter on. It always helps, doesn't it? So that's the standard as it was before. Let's just go back to Fury so I get my bearings right. So we've got 8 steps. So now we've got this 0 here, which means when it's set to 0 it's free running, and if we set it to 2 it's resetting every 2 steps. So as you see, you're getting a different pattern, and you get a wee yellow flashlight just to let you know what's happening. So as you can see, it's getting reset. Now, it also, if you vary the step lengths here, that's still counted as 1 step. So you get irregular, you can get irregularities. You'll get, so all of a sudden it seems to last a bit longer than it did the last time you listened to it. So interesting playing about with odd numbers there. I quite like that effect. Also, I have added the LFO rates to modulation destinations from the purple ones. It was the only ones I had some free slots left in. So basically the way it works is 0, right, have I got the right one here? Yeah, 8 bars, 0 is 8 bars, so if we go 1, that should be the next setting up. Right, so it should now cycle 8 bars, 4 bars, 2 bars, 1 bar, he said confidently. Let's speed this up a bit. Yeah, there we go. Let's just make them a bit faster. So that's a couple of the new bits on there. I believe there's a demonstration of that somewhere. Here we are. Controlling the filter. And then I think yeah, I've assigned it to the pitch of this percussion over here, as you can see there. There's quite a few other new things that are just escaping me at this moment in time, has to be said. That's the main ones. The other main one being that everything resets now on Snapshot. Everything resyncs properly. Finally, I think I've cracked it after many weeks and weeks. Anyway, right, that's probably enough to digest.